Yeah. Thank you, Jeroen, and good afternoon. And let me also start with Greece, as Pierre has done, and let me concur with Pierre that the background of that discussion was a background of much greater confidence in the future of the Greek economy, based on the recent numbers. Also based on what we've seen in terms of the liquidity situation of the banking system in Greece, where we've seen a material improvement in the recent weeks, following the positive market sentiment after the conclusion of the second review. The ceiling for emergency lending assistance, liquidity assistance, was reduced last week by 5 billion euros, which is a lot. And it now amounts to 33.9 billion euros. So that's a very significant steps taken towards decreasing and I hope eventually eliminating emergency liquidity assistance. That said, deposits started recovering only recently and moderately, so that there's still a long way to go in terms of deposits coming back to banks. They remain about 35.3 billion euros below the level that we could observe in early 2015. So that gives you the measure of how much remains to be done. And after the progress in the aftermath of the completion of the second review, the decline in spreads in government bonds has not continued. But the bottom line is of a much improved liquidity situation. So against this overall more favorable background, it's important that the timeline of the ESM program stabilizes. We need regular, limited in time, quarterly reviews. And that would remove important sources of uncertainty and contribute to sustained growth in Greece. So it's in the best interest of Greece to conclude the review in a timely manner, and meaning for the next one by the end of the year. And in the context of the review, significant and visible progress needs to be done to make full use of the tools which were adopted in the context of the strategy to reduce non-performing loans. And we know that banks are making efforts to implement their strategies and deliver on their targets as agreed with the single supervisory mechanism. But it's particularly important that electronic auctions, e-auctions, are promptly, swiftly made operational and that they are not postponed. And also that out-of-court workouts should be used to the broader extent. That will fuel into the positive sentiment over the balance sheet of Greek banks. And finally, we fully concur with what the president of the Eurogroup said about the need to protect the independence and the credibility of the Greek statistical system. We are concerned about the recent conviction of Mr. Georgiou for actions performed in his professional capacity. This puts into question the credibility of Greek statistics as validated by Eurostat. It creates concerns regarding the independence of the Greek statistical authority going forward. So we invite the authorities to take any possible action to ensure that the independence of Elstat and the credibility of statistics is preserved and to gather broad political support in doing so. Finally, on resilience, well, first let me say that we welcome the discussion about the future of the Eurozone being accelerated after the speech of the European Commission's president on Wednesday, and this will be discussed by ministers later today. So this morning, as said by the president, this was about macroeconomic resilience, and the discussion reminded us that that strengthening the common framework, as also outlined by Pierre, and on the one hand, and on the other hand, making member states individually more resilient, should go hand in hand. A lot can be done and should be done within the existing frameworks to make member states more resilient against outside shocks. And that, by the way, why we demand structural reforms all the time. So it's very consistent. And this will also yield benefits for the transmission of our monetary policy. So the ECB has a stake here because the convergence, resilience, that's something that will make our monetary policy transmission smoother. And let me also say that improving resilience is not an alternative to adherence to the rules. it's quite the contrary, actually. It makes it even more necessary to adhere to the rules, starting with the Stability and Growth Pact and with the macroeconomic imbalance procedure. I stop here.